diet's such an important role of helping you nourish your body and getting to where you want to be with your health and overcoming disease or whatever the health problem is. Diet only assists you in that goal. Now, the thing that's quite controversial is, what do you eat? What is it that you should be eating to help you heal your body? And it can be a very individual journey, but there's a lot of similarities between many people that have recovered from cancer to lupus to chronic health conditions like fibromyalgia. They all have a lot of similarities. So when I was on my journey with my health and recovering in general, I started off at a point where I had been born a vegetarian, and my whole life people would tell me, you need meat, you're lacking it, that's why you're tired, that's why you're having all these health problems. And there was no one in my life to say otherwise. So at the very beginning of my health journey, I decided that I was going to just knock this question out of my head. I was going to go, right, if this is true, I'm going to have to test it. I can't get away from this question that keeps plaguing me. Maybe everyone else around me is correct. I need animal products. So for 2 weeks, I had organic grass-fed steak, chicken, fish, added on top of my already high consumption of eggs and dairy. And after 2 weeks, it didn't make a blind bit of difference. There was no change. And from that experience, I assumed that more than likely I'm not deficient in anything. It's more than likely something I've already been doing a long time that's caused my problems. Later on, I completely realized that it's usually something someone is already doing in their routine rather than what they're missing. It's usually the high consumption of gluten or bread or garbage products that are harming them and not something that they're missing. So after those 2 weeks, I was like, right, well, what do I eat? What do I need to get rid of? If it's not my lack of meat and fish that are causing the issues, what is causing me such problems with my health? And I looked at all these recovery stories. On the one hand, you had these, guys that look stunning on a raw vegan diet, guys that look great on a carnivore diet, paleo diet, gluten-free diet. And I was looking at all these stories, and they were very inspiring to me, all of them. And I'd go, right, well, if I want to look at these stories and get anything from them, what is it that they stopped doing? The raw vegan guy, he's not eating gluten or dairy. The paleo guy, Mark Kyman, talks about not eating dairy or gluten. The carnivore guy is just omitting grains completely. The gluten-free diet, vegan, normal diet, they're consuming grains still, but not as much, and they're removing gluten and dairy products and all these highly processed foods. And I came to the conclusion that if all these people are recovering on varied diets, it's probably what they're emitting that's causing such great changes for them rather than what they are eating. So that's what I did. I was like, right, the garbage seed oils need to go as much as possible. The garbage sugars, the refined products, the dairy, the wheat, the gluten, all that has to go. And as someone that identifies as a previously born Italian man, it killed me because my favorite foods on the planet were a lovely mozzarella pizza, pesto, just everything wheat and dairy. It was my favorite food, so it was a big challenge for me to give those foods up. It took a long time, but it was necessary for my recovery, and it made such a big difference. Removing those products made such a massive difference, whereas the incorporation of something that I hadn't eaten for 22 years, which was steak and fish and chicken, made no difference at all. And that's the view I hold to this day, is that a lot of times people with health conditions, it's usually something in their life that's already happening, already doing, that is causing them stress and issues with their health. So that's the advice I give to anyone. If you come to me with chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, get rid of the refined oils, refined sugars, the dairy products, all the packaged foods, and whether you want to be vegan or vegetarian, if you could have some raw kefir or whatever, or you're a carnivore, whatever it is, it's the omission of those products that are going to aid you. Then there's no one that loses out on their health when they remove these products. The omission of those is what's going to help you. Now, if you have a chronic health condition that involves autoimmune problems like lupus, then you have to go a step further and maybe remove grains, corn. But I never advise anyone to go on an autoimmune protocol diet if they're just starting this journey. Getting rid of those foods first and seeing how you go is where you need to go in terms of diet. I've seen many people go through all the loops of being carnivore, vegan, they go through all these loops and they seem to never find an answer. And it's because, number one, health is so much more than just diet. What's your living situation like? Are you living in a toxic environment? Are you living with a toxic person? Have you got, a parent that is like with me? I had a parent that was very domineering and caused me to be in a fight or flight response all the time. Now, if you're having a grass-fed steak with some organic vegetables for dinner, but you were in a fight or flight response and your blood is pooling in your extremities, you're not going to digest the food properly and it's going to cause problems. It doesn't matter what you're eating at that point. It matters that you get yourself out of this toxic environment. And a lot of people seem to forget that, because I believe that food is one of those things we can control. It's difficult sometimes to control it, but we can control food to a large extent. And sometimes there are things in our life that we feel we have no control over. For example, if you live with a parent that's very domineering or condescending or rude, and there's no talking with that person, it's very stressful and it brings up a lot of insecurities in yourself, like it did with me, that I can't be independent, I'm sick, I'm relying on this person. Yeah, they're causing me a great amount of stress. It's really uncomfortable. If I just focus on diet, then maybe I'll find a magic cure and don't have to deal with this. Health is about the entire picture. It's about you as a conscious living person having sensory input into your experience, causing you to have some kind of response. So the stress of your internal thinking, the stress of your relationship, the stress of, you're divorced and the person's using the kid as leverage. All these things have an effect on you and how your body runs. Is it running efficiently? And stress is the number one killer. So if you haven't dealt with that, no diet, it helps to eat the right things, but if you're in a fight or flight response all the time and you're just not facing the problem, it doesn't matter what you're going to eat. So you are going to go carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, or you're going to go through all these things looking for the answer, but you haven't dealt with the fact that you're not at ease, you're not calm, you're not relaxed. And that's where you need to be looking. So when anyone comes to me and asks me, what do I eat? I don't go vegan, go carnivore. I don't say any of that. I say, get rid of the junk. There's junk that is removed from both camps of two extremes. So, you got your raw vegan and then you got your carnivore, but they omit the garbage. So that's the best place to start when it comes to your diet. And once you've done that and you got that down, let's start looking at other areas in your life. What's your relationships like? What is your internal thinking dialogue like? You've probably had it for a very long time. What was your you can go through a lot of things. You just need to look at what's going on in that person's life and try and get them into a place of ease so that they can start actually digesting whatever foods they decide to eat. I think I've answered that question now. Just don't get too caught up in what you're consuming. Now, if you have an autoimmune issue, you might have to do that later on. But if you don't have that, do not worry about it.